I really hope people's experience in this installation, they will get a feeling, just a sense of something is wrong. And that wrongness is what's happening everywhere in the world right now. You know, I've never considered myself the easel artist. I've always considered myself involved with construction and building and making. What my purpose is, to put simply, is to tell stories that nobody wants to hear. And these stories involve the brutalization of people by people. That's what I basically look for in my work, is to make people become aware. No matter how hurtful it is, people need to know.
About a year ago, we started talking about an idea that Barsamian had that really was a kind of an expansion and honing of some of the ideas that he explored in previous works. And it seemed to be a really deep consideration of how terrible at times we can be towards each other. Man's inhumanity to man is something that Barsamian has called it. But also how we recover, how we heal, how we move on after horrific traumatic events.
It's very important for me to find something that is strongly rooted in myself. My background as an Armenian and the issues of the Armenian Genocide is just as strong in me as it was in 1914 when the Armenian Genocide was beginning. And this piece, Veils of Sorrow, which I created, I'm just trying to make people aware of the fact that a historical event took place, but it's also very possible for it to take place again.
Robert Barsamian has always been willing to do the work, the hard work of telling stories that we need to know and need to remember. His one venture into work that was more commercial were tremendous, beautiful water pieces. And it's really interesting that he comes back to this water theme. He knows it well. He knows the power of water. And so in this current installation, he has used water as a very powerful all-body experience. You walk into the installation and you are literally submerged.
When the Ottoman Empire was forming, they wanted to eliminate the practice of Christianity. One of the cities that they invaded was Trabzon. Trabzon is right on the shores of the Black Sea. And they decided what they were going to do was drown people. In Trabzon, they killed 50,000 people that they have a record of. And of that were large numbers of Armenian Christians. They would take trips out on their boats, and they would take groups of people out, tie them together, weight them down, and throw them overboard. And that's the way that they eliminated that population. So I created a piece that shows a boat, a pretty common boat that was used for fishing, and it hangs some 14, 15 feet in the air. And the room in which it is hanging is a setting of water. I did 5 drawings that I translated into veils of people falling out of the boat drowning. They are big, huge veils, and people have to walk through them to get from one place to another. In my pieces, I create them such that you can touch them, you can feel them. And I think that that just helps to heighten the experience that a person has as they walk their way through the actual elements that are there. And actually, I mean, it makes it more lifelike and real instead of a snap of a moment in a visual presentation. It's not that. The moment extends itself here. It extends itself to the point of you're becoming a part of it. You're a part of the physical and the emotional aspects of it. During the beginning of the march of the Ottoman Empire, they started their invasion by saying, you take all of the bells out of all your churches. A group of monks developed this instrument called a semantron. And basically what it is a sounder. It makes a sound, and it makes sound on slabs of wood which are hanging. And there are different parts of the slabs of wood that they use that have different types of sweet spots. They would create a sound, and that sound, when you put it together, can have the rhythm of a bell ringing. And that was what they used to do. They used to take these things, mount them in their belfry areas. The sound would travel up them and reverberate outside into the area of the parishioners. And they knew that it was time then to go to church. So they found a way to overcome the hardship of not having their bells ring. And I thought it would be great to combine that along with the issues of the manner in which the non-compliant Christians were dealt with.
This installation reminds me a lot of performance art, which I've been involved in over the years. You feel the ocean, you feel the emotions, and then you look up and you see a boat, and then you realize that these people have been cast out, that they're drowning. You feel the tension, you feel the sound of the instrument, you feel the injustice, the social injustice that all of these people have gone through. Everyone will experience it very differently, and I think that's so important about what he's conveying in this piece.
Veils of Sorrow is a beautiful example of how he takes his artistic skill as a draftsman, as someone who is very adept at narrative stories through visual imagery, and brings you in because they're so, it's such a beautiful way that he manipulates his materials and what have you. But then you get in and you realize that the subject matter is anything but beautiful. And I think that that's a real skill, to be able to kind of tell these really difficult, very painful stories in ways that humanize the conversation for people so that they can enter into it and not be afraid to embrace the conversation that he's having, because they're not easy conversations.
I'm hoping my stories will help make people see and understand that we can't exist any longer with this kind of negativity. And if we want to have positivity in our lives, we have to start being the humans that we are meant to be, instead of being inhumane.